hello everyone, and welcome to another installment of Lightbulb Moments. My name is Trevor Backoffner. This is my co-host, Jan Hansen. We're part of First Christian Church. We put these on and have these conversations. And today we're on episode 4, and we're talking about when you are at home, which is legitimately all of the time for most of us. So we were thinking about this, and one of our favorite pastimes for Edie and I is to have a dinner and a movie. We love to have dinner and a movie nights. Gosh, we probably do that more often than we eat around a regular table, just because of where we're at and shelter-in-place stuff. But what about you, Jan? Do you like the dinner and a movie situation?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, that's kind of that's our Friday night tradition. Started when our kids were younger, and now that they're adults, Brad and I still do it. Whether it's, flicking through Netflix trying to find something to watch, or something that we really wanted to see, or whatever, or just whatever. But usually that's our chill out Friday time.
That's definitely what it was for us growing up. It's Friday night movie night, but now it's every night.
Now it's every night. See, that's good, because you had to have a different pizza every night, or a different, what pizza. See, I'm already talking about pizza. That's kind of my dinner thing. And that, I want to ask you a question. So dinner and a movie. If you could only watch one movie and eat one meal with it every time you watched a movie or eat a meal, which would they be?
Pizza is definitely an easy one. It's a large Hawaiian pizza, all to myself. I will not share. My wife can have her own separate pizza. The movie, I think I'd go Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It's one of my favorites. It's kind of weird. Not a lot of people have heard of it or watched it. At least the people that I tell about it. I'm like, this is a good movie. And they're like, that's a movie? But most people don't like the Hawaiian pizza. Most people don't like my favorite movie. It's okay. I like them. That's what I'd watch. How about you?
I'm not with you on the movie, but the Hawaiian pizza, you can have dinner and a movie at my house anytime, because that's one of my go-to pizzas. Absolutely. But the movie would have to be, if I could only watch one movie, it would be, just like we're in episode 4, Star Wars, New Hope. Yes, that would be the movie for sure.
Love it.
Yeah.
I would have said Star Wars if I could, because all of them are called Star Wars. So you just watch all of them all the time.
Yeah, well, that doesn't count.
That might have been a cop-out answer.
Yeah, can't do that.
But as that kind of relates to our talk today, God's envisioned some natural parts of our day, and the natural parts of the way that we live our life are normal rhythms that families have, and He invites parents to talk to their kids about Him in each of these, to impress His love, to impress His character on them, and to enter into conversations with God in prayer. And we've been looking at Deuteronomy 6 and these 4 things. So I'm just going to, for the sake of refreshing all of our memories here, I want to read Deuteronomy 6, verses 5 and 6, actually 7 too. So let's go with that here. And you must love the Lord your God with your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands that I'm giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you're at home and when you're on the road, when you're going to bed, and when you're getting up. So if you haven't had the chance to yet, go back, catch the first 3 video casts that we've done here. Our first just being kind of a background, why we're talking about this, why we believe it's important. And then the next 2, when you wake up, and then last week's episode, when you walk along the road. So today, we're talking about when you're at home, right?
Yes, very appropriate, huh? But today we are looking at this rhythm that's already built into your family. Again, like we said, now more so than ever. But we're talking about the natural things that your family would be doing anyway when you're at home together. And 2 of those things that our minds went right to, and it was like light bulb moment, is dinner and a movie. So let's talk about dinner first. Dinner is a time that we're parents are already going to be home. There's no sports to run to. There's no, any kind of classes, nothing going on. Most families are home in the evening together. And so this is a great opportunity to be able to share some faith conversation.
Yeah. And for many of us, mealtime can often feel rather chaotic, where everything's going all at once. Someone's over here on their phone, the other person's wanting their food a little bit quicker. Parents are running around like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to make sure everything, is where it's supposed to be. But what if we all had the power to make it less chaotic? So to start, let's actively sit around a table together. I know that's something that my wife and I can certainly work on. We like to sit on the couch and eat. But sit around a table, actually look at each other's faces, and here's another one, no electronics. Put them away. No one needs to be on their phone while they're eating. It's hard enough to multitask as it is. Use this time as a playback of the day. Start talking to one another. You talk to your toddlers, talk to your spouse, your preschoolers, your teenagers, even though all you might get is a grunt or a one-word answer. Try to have a conversation here. And you could actually, we have a few questions to share with you that might help. How did we do today when it comes to not driving each other crazy? That's a
whole conversation right there.
That could be a very long conversation, depending on how the week has gone or how the day's gone. How did we crush it today? Where are we just, knocking it out of the park as a family? Or where did we see God at work today? These are just a few. We'll post the rest of the list in the FCC Parent Facebook group for you guys. But there's some to get you started.
Yeah. And that's really sometimes all it takes is some ideas to start the conversation. And one of the ideas that we had too is you could choose like a word for your conversation for the duration of your dinner. Pick a family value that you have, like maybe honesty or determination, which was our May Life app for elementary kids. And that's another thing you can do. Draw from what we're providing your family with for your kids' different age groups, from preschool all the way to students, and kind of continue those conversations that they're hearing, that you're hearing from the weekend stuff we've provided, and just continue the conversation, because repetition is really good, no matter how young or old you are. But the big thing is it can be teachable moments that you can ask these reflective questions in, and not ask the questions so that you're kind of shaming each other, or, oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that very well. But it's a way to just say, what could we have done differently? Or what's the wise choice that could have been made in that situation? And then celebrating each other when it comes to, family wins, individual wins through your conversation. Instead of just saying, hey, it's really important for, us to be honest and not lie and things like that. Maybe point out to each other, hey, I really saw so-and-so, be truthful in this situation. Or, I saw or I heard a story about somebody today that showed this trait or this character value. And what kids love is when parents share stories of when they were younger, and like your kids' ages, to share good or not so good things that happened, appropriate sharing, but to be able to dig back and share some of those stories and say, I'm really glad I did this, or I really wish I would have done this different. Now that I know, and now that I have a relationship with God, that's part of that conversation. And that kind of goes into the same thing of movies, because when you're sitting and watching a movie or a TV show together, you can take what's going on in the show and turn it into a conversation with your kids. And I think that you can even do this with another adult too. Really, you can do it with anybody. But here's what you do. You keep the remote in your hand. And as you're watching, just hit the remote when you feel it's an appropriate time that you want to talk about what's going on, what the characters are doing or not doing, or or things like that. You would be surprised how many life lessons are in movies and TV shows because they're stories. And some are true, some are fiction, but nonetheless, they're stories. And that's kind of how we learn and live out our life sometimes, is through stories. So watching a movie together as a family is a great way to help your kids know what God's heart is for them and their choices in their lives when you're pointing out the good and the bad in things that you're watching.
Yeah, totally. Asking, pausing and asking the question, was this character's actions or the way they worded something, are they good or bad?
Yeah.
Or here's the one that will really benefit you if you're watching scary movies together is, how would you have done differently? How would you have done things differently than the character in the show? Or how would the outcome have been different if they'd asked God for help? If they, or if they trusted God to be with them? These are just a few, or even before the movie, you could have everyone just name a quality or a characteristic of God and then call it out when you see or hear it in some way while you're listening to this story or while you're watching this movie. And of course, as we get down to it, the most fun is combining these two, dinner and a movie, right? There's nothing wrong with a picnic on the floor in front of the TV every now and then, and I certainly enjoy it. And in fact, if you might want to just make it a new family rhythm, take a page from Jan's playbook, make it your Friday night tradition here, and get your family together in one room and talk about faith, or maybe for you parents of teenagers out there, take a movie that they've wanted to see that you're not sure that they're really ready yet. Watch it together, process through that, ask questions, figuring out ways that you can have them intersect their life and their faith and not have those compartmentalized is incredibly important as we figure this out and as we do this thing at home. So
yeah, you could even let them, you could share the remote, let them ask you questions too. Again, your kids, believe it or not, are interested in your life. They might not show it, but they are, especially in your past life and how you did things and when you were their age. So use the power of dinner and a movie together or separately. And if you're having Hawaiian pizza, you better invite us. That's all I'm saying. This has been Lightbulb Moments, and we are so happy you tuned in. Well, next week we'll be back with another episode. So see you then.